I love hermit crabs. I love these odd little creatures so much that I'd be surprised if you didn't know that about me. My hermit crabs have been my obsession since 2007, the year when my mom let me purchase 2 little hermit crabs from Ocean City, Maryland. But being in kindergarten, I didn't realize the system that I was perpetuating. But as I've grown older, I've realized that there's a harsh reality of where hermit crabs originate from. And I've also realized that many people believe the misconceptions about hermit crabs. So where do hermit crabs actually come from? Well, there's undercover footage from a PETA eyewitness that shows hermit crabs dumped from burlap sacks and into these wired pens. There's no access to clean water or clean food, no sand to burrow, and no shells for them to transfer into. Their natural shells right here are manually broken, so these hermit crabs are forced into these toxic painted shells. There's also dead hermit crab bodies littering the floor, and these employees in the video are just seen sweeping the bodies away because they don't care. This is at Breleen Warehouse, a supplier for Petco and PetSmart. And all these hermit crabs had a life before they reached you or I. Before they reached the warehouse, they were living in tropical beaches. These hermit crabs, right here, they've had a life before me on the beach. And 30% of wild hermit crabs are in shells that are way too small because these hermit crab industries, they're taking shells from the wild and painting them, using these to sell to boardwalk stores. Instead, they should be leaving these shells for these wild hermit crabs on the beach. Okay, so after the beach and after the warehouse, where do these hermit crabs end up? Well, they're shipped to stores without basic commodities. They're shipped to PetSmart, Petco, and boardwalk shops. And these boardwalk shops, most specifically, give very little thought to these hermit crabs' needs. And dead hermit crabs are just wastes of money to them. Employees are not instructed to give any correct care advice to customers, which this leads to many misconceptions that people have about hermit crabs. Right here are little hermit crab condos that are often sold at the boardwalk. This little house is not the correct care for hermit crabs. Instead, they should be in an aquarium. The minimum, at least 20 gallons. Mine is a 29-gallon. Painted shells, like what I've showed you right here, are very toxic because they're painted with very toxic paint. And hermit crabs eat the opening of their shell right here. And when they eat it, they're also eating chips of paint, which is definitely good for no hermit crab to ingest. So, you should always be supplying your hermit crab with natural shells. Also, rainbow gravel. This type of substrate also often comes with these little condos right here, and it doesn't allow a crab to properly molt. Now, 5 inches of play sand mixed with eco earth is always the best combination because the hermit crabs can properly tunnel and molt. And molt is a term for hermit crabs that have to go under the sand and grow off their exoskeleton, which means that they can get bigger. And also, a secure aquarium allows for a more humid and moist environment, which simulates the tropical beaches that they originate from. A cage like this does not allow heat and humidity to stay in. And to further simulate the environment, I have a spray bottle and I have a heating source, which always helps the environment stay tropical. Commercial food. So commercial food is often sold at PetSmart and Petco, and this is filled with sulfates and preservatives, which is not natural at all. Hermit crabs should be fed a diet of very natural foods. Bananas, lettuce, tomato, all that. And they're scavengers, which that means that they're going to be eating mostly natural food from the environment. So right here, as you can see, one of my hermit crabs is eating some of the natural food that I provided for them. And lastly, hermit crabs, despite their name, they're social animals and they always need a companion. People believe that they only need one hermit crab to teach their kid responsibility, and that is false. My hermit crabs, I have 7, and they are always around each other. They are always sleeping in clumps and mounds. They are walking on top of each other. Sometimes they talk to each other. It's fascinating, and they just need to be together because in the wild, they live in colonies of hundreds and hundreds of hermit crabs. They migrate together. They do everything together. So, in conclusion, hermit crabs are by far the most misunderstood animal on the market. There's lack of education around them. Many parents believe that they're just easy pets to educate their child on responsibility. But no pet is a throwaway pet because all animals' lives matter. And the internet is a part of many people's lives, so there shouldn't be an excuse for people to adopt hermit crabs and not have any education behind it. Now, if you do want to own hermit crabs and venture into the hermit crab hobby, I encourage you to adopt and not shop, because we don't want you to perpetuate the system of abuse that these hermit crabs have to endure. Because these hermit crabs, they were taken from their home, and it's up to us to give them the best environment that we can give them.